What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back to talk some more boxing. Now, today we're going to do something fun. We're going to do a follow-up video to a previous video I did entitled Ego Explains the Difference Between Real Boxing Fans versus Fake Ones. And on the initial video, make sure you check it on the channel. I got a lot of good feedback, a lot of positive feedback, and some inbox messages and subscriptions from that video. And as always, you know you're going to get some trolls, some YouTube trolls that feel they need to interject. But overall, the response was really good. So I figured I'd do a follow-up video. And I've comprised some clips as well as some YouTube comments basically supporting what I'm saying. And what I was saying in the initial video was basically this. There are people who are avid fans of the sport. I have no beef with them. But then you got people on YouTube who leave asinine comments, just comments with no relevance that can't be supported by fact. And it appears they get so infatuated with the fighter that they like. And I understand we all have favorites, but you have to be realistic. And some of you fans get so infatuated with a particular fighter to the point where your points are very ridiculous and you just say outlandish things, make excuses for your fighter, and it's just bad. So I figured we'd take a journey and explore some of these instances. And initially, when I pulled the YouTube user comments, I was going to leave the username in it because I don't give a fuck. But I decided against that because why give the haters and unknowledgeable boxing fans more press? Why give them more attention than they deserve? So what I did is censor it so you won't be able to see who left the comment. However, these are actual comments from YouTube and I pulled them directly off the web. And like I said, we'll take a journey. We'll explore some of these instances and let me know what you guys think. Subscribe, comment, hate, and let's get right into it. The first fight I want to talk about is Amir versus Danny Garcia. Now, in this fight, after the fight took place, I heard a lot of excuses. All the hardcore Amir fans just had a lot to say. They were saying basically he got lucky. Amir was dominating for 2 rounds. And I don't understand that logic. Here's why. If Amir was dominating for 2 rounds, but the next 2 rounds he lost and he got knocked down several times and then he ended up losing the fight, it's irrelevant what he did for 2 rounds. And that's boxing. Perfect example, Chavez Jr. versus Sergio Martinez. Sergio Martinez dominated that fight for 11.5 rounds. And it appeared that in the 12th round, Chavez Jr. might be able to get him out of there. Now, if he was able to get Sergio Martinez out of there, then it's really irrelevant what Sergio Martinez did for 11.5 rounds if he got knocked out and lost the fight. So same thing with Amir Khan. That's not an acceptable excuse or rationale of thinking to me. Oh, he dominated. And then if you really watch it and pay attention, he was the faster fighter. He has faster hands. No one's ever disputed that. So of course, it's going to be an adjustment that Danny Garcia needed to make before he started landing punches. And the last thing I want to say before I get into the clip is I feel a lot of you guys rely too heavily on HBO's commentators. And sometimes they say stuff that is not really factual. It's just their own personal opinions. And I feel like you guys ride with that. And if you watch a sport, you got to learn to think for yourself. So that's basically what I ask. If you come to my channel and if you have an opinion, that's fine. If we disagree, that's fine. However, if you come to my channel, make sure you have your facts straight and make sure your point is a reasonable point and you can actually argue it intelligently why you feel that way. And we won't have any problems. And like I said, stop listening to the HBO commentators. Formulate your own opinions. Learn to watch the sport. And I honestly feel a lot of you guys don't know how to watch boxing. And I know some of you guys are thinking, like, what does he mean he doesn't know how to watch boxing? But it makes perfect sense. Boxing, like any other sport, there's certain things that you need to look for. In boxing, there's certain red flags. You can tell if a fighter's starting to wear down and get tired. They'll keep their mouth open or their guard goes down or whatever the situation. There's certain red flags that one can see, and you can start seeing what's about to transpire. Like sometimes you'll see an opponent start closing the gap and they're getting closer and closer with the counter shots or whatever the situation. And I don't think some of you guys know what to look for or how to look for those things. So again, we're going to break it down together. We're going to look at some of these clips and hopefully you guys like it and enjoy the video. But again, stop listening to HBO commentators only. Like, you need to have your own opinions, and just be realistic with your opinions. Like, even if you look at football, you look at the Seahawks versus the Green Bay Packers, you know the Green Bay Packers should have won that game because the replacement refs, the Seahawks end up getting a controversial touchdown. But there were actual Seahawks players, including Marshawn Lynch, who said, we shouldn't have won that game, y'all. We got a gift from the replacement refs. We got a gift decision. You know what I mean? And that just shows you that some people are big enough to admit, even when they're wrong, that the situation didn't play out like it should have, and they're big enough to admit that they shouldn't have won that game. But with a lot of you fight fans, boy, you don't admit shit. Like, if your fighter loses, there's an excuse for why he lost, and it could just be he didn't have the right game plan. You know what I mean? Stop making excuses. But back to this video, Danny Garcia and Amir Khan, just a couple things to look at for as far as HBO commentators. Listen to how much they praise Khan, and listen to what some of the things that they are saying. Like Emmanuel Stewart said, you can see right here, Khan has definitely got the faster hands and maybe the most power. How does Amir Khan have the most power? Maybe have the most power. Amir Khan has 1 KO on his record, on his professional resume. And I know some of you guys are like, that's not true, that's bullshit. That's fact. Look it up. Amir Khan has 1 KO on his professional record. That was to Zab Judah, and Zab Judah thought it was a low blow, and he wasn't even knocked out cold. But it was a knockout. The rest are either TKOs or some kind of decision or whatever the case is. But he has 1 KO versus Danny Garcia, who has a higher KO percentage, and he's known to have heavier hands. So for Stewart to say maybe have the most power, like, we're based on what? Just because Amir Khan's faster and Danny Garcia wasn't able to land as quickly or in the earlier rounds? Come on. And then Max Kellerman, and I like Max Kellerman, but sometimes he says some pretty outlandish things as well. This is what he said in the fight. He said, I'm not saying that Garcia is not still fighting hard, but when you see a guy do that already in the second round after taking a beating, it could be a signal. Like, what are you talking about? Garcia was still getting shots off. Obviously, he had the speed of Amir Khan to overcome, but he was still in the fight, and he wasn't getting beat up. I mean, he was catching shots, and he received a cut. But, I mean, that's boxing. So, again, stick to your own opinions. Don't necessarily listen to the HBO commentators. We'll get right into the clip. All right, so let's get into the first fan comment. Just looks like Khan got caught with a lucky shot. Now, what is luck? Do you guys know the definition of luck, which is the root word to lucky? If not, let me explain it to you. Luck, noun, an unknown and unpredictable phenomenon that causes an event to result one way rather than another. Now, when you listen to the definition, does that sound like what happened? No, it doesn't. It sounds like you don't know what you're talking about. So, luck, that wasn't a lucky shot. I mean, Danny Garcia is a professional fighter. He's been fighting since he was a kid. He was trying to counter, but he was swarmed, and Amir Khan's speed was something that he needed to adjust to, so it took a second for him to get his timing down. But as you can see in the following clips, he was getting closer, he was getting some shots off, and he was constantly countering. It just takes a second for you to get your timing and your accuracy down. So that's what happened. When it did happen, boom.
Khan with a hard right hand behind the jab. Danny Garcia countered well with the right hand himself.
Well, you can see right here that Khan has definitely got the faster hand, maybe the most power, but Garcia's a solid, steady, consistent fighter. And therefore, he's going to have to be prepared every time he lands a punch to look for a punch back from Garcia.
Garcia is dangerous in exchanges because he's been fighting his whole life, because he has quicker hands than he's good at giving credit for and solid punching power. In those exchanges, Garcia's dangerous.
Khan lands another right hand over the top. So far, Danny Garcia's chin is up to the test. Well, that was one of Freddie Roach's big things coming off the Peterson fight. He wanted Khan to stop bouncing on his feet, stop giving the opponent the opportunity to knock him off balance. Stay flat-footed, stay steady, and stick his punches.
And he's
want his father's outbursts to color anybody's perception of him. As he said, I'm a good guy. I'm not like that. Straight right hand by Khan. That time he led with it. Don't see that all that often. You've seen him lead with both the left hook and a right hand. He's developing more variety on offense.
And I'm not saying that Garcia's not still fighting hard, but when you see a guy do that already in the second round after taking a beating, it can be a signal. Sorry, Emmanuel.
You know, Garcia's punches, if he shoots 10 right hands, 9 of them would be that kind of looping, short looping, clubbing type right hand. He doesn't shoot the straight right hands the way that Khan does, but sometimes at the end of those punches, he kind of moves Khan off of balance by landing, but he doesn't have a good straight right hand.
But he does have solid punching power.
We've seen a number of fighters who have chin problems early in their careers, and then when they develop confidence and get more comfortable in their style.
All right, now right here, Amir Khan comes in with his typical ambush style. It's not set up with any kind of jab or anything. He does his regular rush in and does his war cry, ah! And look at Danny Garcia's feet. He has his feet planted to maximize his power, and he begins to swing with the left counter shot. And as you all know, that's your ass, Mr. Postman.
Down goes Khan off a sensational counter left hook by Garcia. Sensational counter left hook. And Amir Khan may not get his senses back before the end of the round.
You okay? Yeah, it's not like Madonna. This time
Kenny Bayless wants to see if he's ready to fight. Bayless is going to let him stay in the fight.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5.
Amir Khan was in huge trouble. Made it out of the round. If that changes.
Now the next comment, it reads as follows. What a weak stoppage. Malignaggi was clinching up as the ref stepped in. They stopped the fights way prematurely sometimes. I know they need to protect them, but the fighters are there to fight. It's on the corner to stop the fight if they think their guy is finished. Wrong, false. The corner as well as the referee, and I would say probably the referee more than the corner, has an obligation to protect that fighter's health if the fighter is not doing it. And the reason I say more than the corner is because that's what it is. It's the corner. You're in the corner of the ring. You may not be able to see anything. You're not able to move in the ring and get different angles to see exactly what happens. So as you could tell, just based on like commentators or corner, you might think a shot lands flush, but it really doesn't. But the ref might have a better chance to see what's actually happening. So as far as saying you have to rely on the corner to stop it, that's false. The referee also has an obligation to protect the fight. And if you look at this fight, Amir Khan, a lot of people say I dog Amir Khan, but this is an instance where Amir Khan is the victor. And like I said, there's no bias here, folks. It's all based on fact and the sport. And Amir Khan was dominating this fight. There's no way that you could tell me that Paulie Malignaggi really stood a chance. He was getting dominated. Amir Khan's jab, his speed was too overwhelming. Paulie Malignaggi, he's a great commentator. He has a lot of boxing technique, but in this particular fight, he was outgunned. And to call the stoppage weak, I have to disagree. Malignaggi, I don't see any way he would be able to pull out of this fight and win it. And Malignaggi is also known as a pillow-fisted fighter. So, I mean, realistically, I don't think he had enough to keep Amir Khan off of him. So that's my thought.
I know he's got a lot of, pretty reserved. He really doesn't have much head movement, as you see there, down to his right. But otherwise, has never really...
He's not looking at this realistically, like he's got a chance to win this fight somehow. They ask him to do something, he's not... Left hand thumps off the head of Malignaggi.
Khan's knockout shots look more convincing. Good stoppage by Steve Smoga.
Well done.
All right, now the next comment comes from an internet tough guy, Billy Badass, a keyboard warrior. And the comment reads, I ain't trained in 2 years, and I whooped the shit out of Malignaggi. Cat talks too much game, but is a sitting duck. He get fucked off with pivots and right hands all day. Now, comments like this are just comical. Like, what is the point of it? Malignaggi's a world champion. And if you were posting things like this on YouTube, I highly doubt that you are one as well. So what's the point in discussing an imaginary fight that won't take place. Now, I love the internet. The internet's great. You need to find directions, or you want to prove a fact, you just go to Google. However, this is the only thing that I really don't like about the internet. The internet, there's no accountability. People think they can say whatever they want and they feel comfortable behind a computer. So you see racial slurs or opinions not based on fact and just a bunch of gibberish, really. So that's my only complaint about the internet. Let's move right along. All right, so the next comment reads, "This is the young prime Mayweather right here. The one that fought Cotto was shot." I have to disagree with that statement. I don't see, maybe my definition for shot is different than yours, but how can you be undefeated and shot and you're still fighting the competition that's out there, that's in your division, and you're not fighting C-class bums? That's not shot to me. My definition of shot, when I think of shot, I think of a fighter like Arturo Gatti, rest in peace. But if you look at it, Arturo Gatti was no longer the same person. He wasn't the same fighter that fought Mickey Ward in his last fight. Watch his last fight and tell me that's the same Arturo Gatti that built the name of the sport. And like I said, Arturo Gatti, he's a legend in the sport. He shows tremendous heart, but at the same time, towards the end of his career, was no longer the same Arturo Gatti. Look at Shane Mosley. Shane Mosley, his last 3 fights didn't look like the Shane Mosley that fought Miguel Cotto. So you could even argue that Shane Mosley is shot. But as far as saying Mayweather is shot, I mean, how? What's the basis? Mayweather's undefeated, and he clearly and decisively beat Cotto. He won 8-4 or 7-5, depends on how you scored it. But either way, he clearly and concisively beat Cotto in that fight. And he fought Cotto at his natural weight. Cotto's a big boy. He fought at 154. Mayweather has only been to 154 one other time, and that was against Oscar de la Hoya. So, like I said, you can argue that Mayweather's prime was in the lower weight classes. That's fine. I wouldn't dispute that or be mad at that. But to say he's shot, I can't agree with that statement. And like I said, a lot of times I think boxing fans, they go off of kind of what they hear. I mean, Mayweather had a nosebleed. He's human. So what's the big deal? Because you're not used to seeing him with a bloody nose, that means he's shot? Like, come on, get real. He's one of the most defensive fighters of all time, and I wouldn't say that Mayweather or Cotto is shot. When I think of shot, I think of a fighter who has nothing else to give, and I don't consider Miguel Cotto or Mayweather in that boat right now. All right, now the last comment happens to be my favorite out of the bunch. I think it's the most ridiculous out of them all, and this is regarding the Adrian Broner versus Jason Litzau fight, and the comment simply reads, "Bullshit stoppage." Now, if you watch this fight, I have the clip prepared for you guys. There's no way you could say that this is a premature stoppage or this stoppage makes no sense. He was completely defenseless, and he wasn't fighting back. And it's like, what do you guys want? Do you guys want the fighter to die in the ring? Like, come on, get real. It's like you want something off of a movie like Gladiator or something. Are you not entertained? So there's no way you can classify this as a bullshit stoppage. I mean, he was getting destroyed in the corner and he was on the ropes not doing anything. If you want to talk about premature stoppages, in my opinion, the Molina versus Dimarco fight was stopped prematurely. It was the first round, and you can tell Molina was clearly stunned and he was backed up and he was getting swarmed, so obviously he's going to be in a defensive position. But I don't think he was completely, at that particular point, completely out of it to the point where he couldn't have done something or mustered up something to fight back. He was just getting attacked, and Dimarco pounced on him. So obviously you're going to get in a defensive position. So I think that was a premature stoppage. As far as Adrian Broner versus Jason Litzau, not so much. So anyway, check the clip out. Let me know what you guys think.
Getting ready for the altitude. Says it has been no problem here. Glancing blow, left caught Litzau. Broner misses with some wild shots as he caught Litzau's attention.
There's no question he hurt him.
Mouthpiece is out. Good uppercut. Litzau's down. And it's over in round 1.
All right, now let's watch that again. He's on the rope, and tell me what you see.
No problem here. Glancing.
Bow. Ooh, miss. Slow down, Adrian. Slow down, Adrian. Place your shots, Adrian. All right, bow.
No question he hurt him.
Bow. Like, come on. There's no way. how is that a premature stoppage? He was getting destroyed on the ropes and he wasn't doing anything to fight back. So basically that concludes the second edition, the follow-up video. Subscribe, comment, hate, as always. Let me know what you guys think. And until next video, it's Ego signing off.